The Trump administration can send Oregon National Guard troops to the streets of Portland, Oregon. That's according to a federal appeals court ruling yesterday that dismissed a lower court's order barring that deployment. Earlier this month, a U.S. district judge and Trump appointee ruled that the president's claims of violence in Portland were exaggerated and, quote, simply untethered to the facts. But in a 2-1 decision yesterday, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals argued, quote, it's likely that the president lawfully exercised his statutory authority. This ruling, however, only gives the green light to Oregon National Guard troops. A temporary restraining order still stops troops from other states being sent to Portland, at least for now. The dissenting judge criticized her colleague's ruling, writing that the decision is, quote, not merely absurd, it erodes core constitutional principles, including sovereign states' control over their states' militias and the people's First Amendment rights to assemble and object to the government's policies and actions. Just hours after the ruling came down, an unnamed judge on the Ninth Circuit asked for the full panel of judges on the court to rehear the case. Lawyers for both sides have until tomorrow night to refile their arguments on whether or not the case should be reheard. Joining us now, MSNBC White House correspondent Laura Barron-Lopez. Laura, you've been tracking this closely. What does this court ruling say about the larger efforts from this administration to deploy National Guard troops to a number of different states that have said, we do not want them?
Well, it emboldens the administration, emboldens President Trump, because this is what they've been wanting. This is what they say that the president has the legal authority to do, despite the fact that, there are a number of states, including Oregon and its leaders, that feel that this is crossing a line. Even Republican governors have a few number from Oklahoma and from Vermont have said that they can't imagine if a Democratic president were to send National Guard troops into their state. And so the president shouldn't be doing this when those governors are saying that this is not necessary. Now, the big question is, again, as you laid out, does this ultimately happen? When we asked the White House yesterday, they didn't respond to whether or not they were going to be immediately sending troops to Portland. Or does this get blocked again if they rehear the case? And also, what happens with Chicago and Illinois? Because the Supreme Court could be ruling on that very soon.
Yeah, you tee me up perfectly, because that is the next question that I had for you. When you see that this is what a lower court is ruling, what do you think the Supreme Court might say when it comes to Illinois, and then the impact that that could have, given that that ruling is coming not from a circuit court of appeals, but from the Supreme Court itself?
Well, the Supreme Court decision could be very narrow, and it could ultimately end up only applying to Illinois. So there could be that. They could also decide that they're not going to really weigh in too much into the merits of that case, which is something that they've been doing with a number of decisions where they back up the president. They don't necessarily explain why they're backing up the president. So we could very well see them do that when it comes to Illinois. I think that, again, the question is legally, what is the recourse if the Supreme Court backs him up? Where does Governor Pritzker of Illinois take this? And how do they continue to push back against the administration? Because you expect both Newsom and Pritzker to say that that isn't the end of the line for them, that they're going to continue to fight the administration.
Yeah, certainly. And I think in the background, and we've talked about this in relation to this story, there's the immediate legal effect, there's the impact on the ground, but then there's also the way that the 2028 politics are very much percolating around this as well. I think that's a separate conversation for a different time for you and I. But in the short term, what is the White House saying in regards to what could happen on the ground in Oregon?
Well, they aren't saying yet when or if they are going to send troops, despite the fact that they've clearly been wanting to do this for some time now. So we asked, does this mean that troops are going to be immediately be deployed? They didn't say anything. They just said that this shows that the president is on solid legal footing. Now, the president has been throwing out the Insurrection Act a lot in the last 2 weeks or so, but that was because he was getting pushback from courts, from even a Trump-appointed judge in Oregon, who was the initial judge that said that this doesn't reflect reality on the ground and you can't do this. And so you sense that frustration from the president as well as his team, and they continue to threaten potentially other action that they felt he had pretty wide berth to do. Now, I expect that because of the fact that they're seeing some wins in the Circuit Court of Appeals, that they aren't necessarily going to take that Insurrection Act step just yet.
Yeah, but we'll ultimately see. And then obviously, if this case is reheard, that would just give us yet another chapter as we continue to track this larger story.